My friends, February 8th, 2018 was the last time the world witnessed a movement of this magnitude. But today is July 24th, 2026 and hell has just awakened. Pay close attention because while you watch this video, the greatest war machine ever forged by mankind is cutting through the skies toward the Middle East. What lies on the table of the United States Central Command? It's not a containment plan, it's an order for total obliteration. The B-2 Spirit bombers have already taken off from their bases in Missouri, crossing the globe on direct strike missions. Meanwhile, the B-1B Lancer aircraft, armed to the teeth and ready for combat, are launching more and more flights from the Fairfoot base. In England, activity at the Diego Garcia base has reached an industrial level. We're not talking about military exercises. The heavy anti-bunker loads are already installed in the bomb bays. The engines are warmed up, burning fuel on the runway, just waiting for the final call from the commander-in-chief. The balance of power in the desert has just been shattered. And in these early hours, the leaked images from the skies over Iraq and the Persian Gulf reveal a choreography of relentless destruction. This is already the 13th consecutive night of massive CENTCOM bombings hitting the heart of Iran. And the targets? Headquarters of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, deep ballistic missile silos, networks of bunkers embedded in the hills, mountains, and the swarms of fast boats that the regime uses to harass commercial ships are all being reduced to ashes with brutal intensity. But first, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and leave a like on the video because it takes a lot of work to make it. And it's in this scene of rubble that President Donald Trump made a shocking announcement that breaks the financial backbone of the Ayatollah's regime. $2 billion of Iranian money, sovereign compensation funds that were being held under the control of the United States. They will be confiscated and paid directly to commercial shipping companies whose ships were cowardly attacked by the Revolutionary Guard. It's total strangulation. Those responsible for terrorizing global trade routes are now paying the price with their own blood and with their own cash. While the real attack where it matters most is just beginning. That sounds like a total and absolute victory, right? An unstoppable force sweeping across the desert unopposed. Wrong, because Iran, cornered and desperate, has just made a terrifying threat aimed directly at European soil. And to understand how the Americans are disarming this trap, you need to look at the spearhead of this offensive. The F-16 CJ Wild Weasels. These fighters are not there to drop bombs on buildings. They are our radar killers. The sole job of these pilots is to blind the entire Iranian air defense network before any other plane enters the airspace. They have just landed in the operational area after exhausting transatlantic flights from Germany and bases in the United States. It was the 13th consecutive night of attacks. The debate in Washington today is no longer about whether the next wave of fighters will take off, but about the terrifying magnitude of the force that will be unleashed. And that's when Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi stepped up to the microphones to announce a doctrine that he called shocking. He promised proportional retaliation, an eye for an eye. And look at the level of audacity, as if brute force were the only language they truly understand. But the Islamic Revolutionary Guard went beyond diplomatic bluffing and officially named a British airbase as a legitimate military target of the regime. The target is, plain and simple, exactly where the B-1B Lancer bombers are taking off from. They didn't give a warning, they promised bloodshed. The detail is that the United Kingdom's armed forces have already classified the Revolutionary Guard as a terrorist organization. That was a few weeks ago. And fortunately, the British have shown moral fiber and declared that the base is fully defended. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There is still hope when the leadership decides to show courage. But to ensure that this Iranian promise goes nowhere, American military technology comes into play in an overwhelming way. Now pause and imagine this scene. For you to understand the technological terror that is the F-16CJ, imagine that you are an Iranian air defense operator. You are locked in a freezing concrete bunker, hidden in the dark. You receive the order to turn on the system and scan the skies. Your hand reaches up and turns the radar switch. What you don't know is that thousands of meters above, an F-16CJ equipped with the AN/ASQ-213 system is silently hunting for energy emissions. It doesn't need to emit any signal, it listens. Even before the green screen in front of you finishes lighting up, the American fighter jet, which is the radar killer, has already fired the AGM-88 HARM missile. Death surfs supersonically on the exact radio wave you just emitted. The missile hits you. Before the sound of the explosion, you are hunted without ever having seen the hunter. It is this machine that is opening the gates of hell in the Middle East at this very moment. But remember, my friends, that none of this deadly spectacle happens without the less glamorous and more vital half of war: logistics. Deploying an entire wing of bombers, a squadron of radar-killer aircraft, and every mechanic, armorer, and fuel combat specialist into the theater of operations doesn't happen with just a phone call. It's weeks of colossal military choreography. Sea transport moves the heaviest equipment across the oceans at 46 kilometers per hour, and that takes weeks. Therefore, everything that is time-critical is flown in by airlift, and what civilian radars have shown now is a real conveyor belt in the sky: transport aircraft. The C-17 transport and the gigantic C-5 Galaxies race against the clock. Meanwhile, entire fleets of KC-135 tanker planes stack up at high altitudes all over Europe, ensuring that not a single fighter runs out of fuel. It's a monumental machine operating non-stop to maintain the pressure. And that pressure has a central target. The F-16 Jota fighters form the offensive line, clearing the way alongside the F-35 Lightning in the A, B, and C variants while they provide air cover. But the true master of the night, the star player in this operation, who ends any political discussion, is the gigantic invisible bomber B-2 Spirit. The bomb bay doors open to release the monstrous GBU-57, a weapon designed exclusively to pierce the Iran's pickaxe-shaped mountain structures. The B-2 corners the Revolutionary Guard wearing dunce caps, destroying any underground nuclear facility they try to hide. President Trump was crystal clear: any site where they even think about housing a nuclear weapon will be obliterated. And the GBU-57 is the perfect sledgehammer to break open that stone vault. The continuous pressure of those 13 nights would already be enough to bring the Iranian economy and infrastructure to its knees. And now Iran is asking for time. They signal through diplomatic channels their desire for a 10-day ceasefire for negotiations. But we already know exactly what that means. Iran doesn't want peace. Iran wants time to use heavy excavators, clear the rubble from the destroyed bunkers, open the dented steel doors, and roll their intact ballistic missile launchers out. Fire and hide back inside the mountain. That's why the new satellite images show excavators being absolutely crushed by American precision bombs. There will be no pause for reconstruction. The logistical siege has completely closed in. But if the B-2 and the F-16 already caused panic, there's a new deadly piece in play. On the board, in the last few hours, that has completely changed which way the wind is blowing. Pay close attention to this name. It's EA-37B Compass Call. The American Air Force has just deployed 2 of these brand new jets, codenames AX-41 and AX-43. Straight from Arizona to the RAF base in Fairford in the United Kingdom. Ironically, the exact base that the Iranian Revolutionary Guard threatened to attack. And open source intelligence has already confirmed it. They're on their way to Crete in the Mediterranean to dive headfirst into Operation Epic Fury. The EA-37B doesn't drop bombs. It's the electromagnetic wizard. A modified executive jet manufactured by L3 Harris. It carries the most terrifying electronic warfare technology on the planet. When this beast enters the theater of operations, it gets into the enemy's mind. The compass call fries command and control networks. It disrupts radar signals and shuts down navigation systems. The Ayatollahs instantly become deaf, blind, and mute. And here's the brutal translation you need to understand. The Pentagon doesn't take this machine out of the garage for routine bombings. In military doctrine, the compass call is the shadow that precedes the storm. Interestingly, it is actively used to clear the way in large-scale operations or invasions. And pay attention. We are not saying that the United States will put boots on the ground tomorrow. But in intelligence circles, many analysts are already openly calling for the invasion and takeover of Kark Island, the oil heart of Iran. And the plans are entirely at Donald Trump's disposal. If the electromagnetic wizard is coming to the Middle East, my friends, the time for diplomatic warnings is over. It means that no matter what Iran tries to do from now on, the brain of the Revolutionary Guard has already been shut down. And if you think that Iran's main problem is just wounded pride from the bombs, wait until you see what we've discovered about the control of the Strait of Hormuz and the real pain of the Iranian mullahs. Vice President Joe Vance laid this wound bare in a recent interview. The Ayatollahs were furious because American pressure cut off their ability to collect their mafia-style toll in the Strait of Hormuz. We're talking about astronomical figures. Their cash flow was $300 million a month from maritime extortion. With the sanctions and the military presence, that amount plummeted to $200 million. In the totalitarian mind of the Ayatollah, losing $100 million in illicit profit is the trigger needed to order an attack on innocent ships. That's the madness. The absolute madness of those who govern that country. Faced with this extortion, the eye for an eye doctrine proposed by Aragast was crushed by a new reality. Secretary of State Marco Rubio stepped in and redefined the American stance with a brutal phrase: a head for an eye. He publicly warned that any Iranian retaliation would receive an asymmetrical response. It doesn't matter how much Iran spends on an attack. The response from the United States will cost infinitely more and will not be scaled to match the provocation. The Secretary of State has officially changed the rules of engagement on the geopolitical chessboard. The game has shifted from being proportional to becoming a policy of lethal, disproportionate consequences. Meanwhile, Iran's allies are trying to open diversionary fronts. The Houthis in Yemen have started threatening a blockade in the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, the alternative choke point on the Arabian Peninsula side. Iran started making calls, begging for tactical rescue from the Houthis to ease the pressure in the Gulf. But the American commander-in-chief was firm. Any future Houthi attack on shipping will result in large-scale military punishment. No more games. And hours later, he confirmed that a final decision for an attack is close, an even bigger one. Something seismic and greater than anything ever launched against Iran. My friends, what is he talking about? The Iranian regime pressed the button to escalate the conflict, but panicked when they realized that the American escalator has no brakes and travels at 1,000 kilometers per hour. And in the midst of all this chaos in the Middle East, the global chess pieces move with macabre interests. Intelligence report. Intelligence indicates that Russia is actively helping Iran direct attacks against American troops. Surprised? Not at all. Vladimir Putin knows that if he can drag the United States into an endless war of attrition against Iran, Washington's eyes will turn away from Ukraine. Moscow's goal is to force the weakening of Ukrainian defenses and offensives by keeping the Americans busy in the desert. But Ukraine has just delivered a devastating response from its own theater of operations. In the first confirmed air-to-air combat with a Western-supplied fighter on Ukrainian soil, an F-16 pilot shot down an advanced Russian fighter, either a Su-33 or Su-35. There are even reports suggesting that even Moscow's stealth pride, the Su-57, mysteriously went down. Coincidence? The AIM-9X missiles and the advanced AMRAAM have the nasty habit of causing these catastrophic failures in Russian jets. But the real Ukrainian advantage lies in the fact that the F-16 is an invisible killer when networked. Ukraine relies on Saab early warning radar planes operating well away from the front line. These Swedish radars light up the Russian jet and silently transfer the data to the F-16, which flies low, close to the trees, masked by the terrain. In modern combat aviation, whether it's the F-16, the Su-35, or the Su-57, which in reality is just a souped-up fourth-generation fighter and not a true stealth platform, the rule is simple: whoever sees first kills first. The massive radar on Russian aircraft is useless if the F-16 can fire AMRAAM missiles at maximum range based on data from the Saab plane long before it is detected. This air victory is a monumental achievement for the Ukrainian Air Force and a frightening warning to Russia, proving that integrated Western technology, when in the hands of determined pilots, dominates any theoretical Russian superiority. Now, getting back to the big picture in today's analysis, we need to understand the underlying strategy. The entire goal of Iran's survival now is to resist American political will. They are betting on democratic fatigue. Historically, it's not a bad bet, but today the clock is ticking against Iran. The US Congress has just handed the government $95 billion specifically aimed at funding this war machine. Iran got the worst of it. There was even an attempt by the radical American left, which is friendly with Iran's Islamic radicalism, to end the involvement of the United States through the War Powers Act, which passed in the House of Representatives by 214 to 208 votes, but quietly died in the Senate on a 49 to 47 vote. It's symbolic political theater that doesn't tie the hands of the commander-in-chief, and that's exactly why we're seeing an unprecedented escalation in the strength of the attacks. The Trump administration saw the window of opportunity to hammer the Revolutionary Guard to the brink of collapse, squeezing every last cent out of the Ayatollah's coffers. Will this relentless pain finally force a real negotiation? Or on a grander scale? Will the destruction of the mullah's repressive apparatus create the power vacuum needed for the free people of Iran to arm themselves and begin the true insurrection for God's liberation from the inside out? Because the inconvenient truth is that today, the Revolutionary Guard holds the monopoly on weapons and violence against its own population. The system avoids making a direct correlation between military power and real-world geopolitics that changes the lives of entire nations. And that's exactly why we need to show them how much influence we have. I'm running for the II Best Award in the Political Influencer category. And I want to show the establishment the monumental strength our community of elite analysts has. We are not an audience. We are the front line. That's why I'm asking for your vote now. 30 seconds. The vital link is in the description and in the first pinned comment. Go there, confirm your vote, make your presence known, and show that we are the ones controlling this narrative. We went from the 44th position and today we're in first place thanks to you who are part of this community. So, vote every day until next Tuesday the 28th, which is when the qualification for the next phase is decided. Then, we'll be among the top 20 biggest political influencers in Brazil. We'll have the top 10, top 5 all the way to first place. But the first phase is almost over and it depends on you for us to get through it. So that we can force the algorithm to recognize the level of our analysis and engagement, go down to the comments section now and type our undeniable verdict about the tactics we saw today. Write the keywords: radar gravediggers and disproportionate response. I repeat, radar gravediggers and disproportionate response. Mark your territory in this community, because on the geopolitical board, whoever loses control of their own radar gets taken down before even seeing the hunter. The Iranian regime is finding out the hard way that strategic blindness costs them their very survival. And in the corporate battlefield, the same iron law applies. And today, attention is the most lethal currency. And having an elite product but remaining invisible is your guaranteed defeat. What hurts the entrepreneur the most is being the best at what he does and living trapped inside a bubble, losing ground to dances and empty memes. I used to think like that. 15 years ago on radio and television, I understood that authority requires strategy. Media is the name of the game now. Take, for example, the case of CIMED, a pharmaceutical company, and Haven, a department store chain. Both tripled their sales when they realized they also needed to be a communication company. Your identity can't be outsourced. The owner needs to put himself out there. The time of recording with a cell phone without authority to sell is over. The space now demands absolute professionalism. So, I'm recruiting entrepreneurs and professionals, the best in their fields, but who are invisible, who are locked inside a bubble. If you want to break through this bubble, be recognized, and have your business force the algorithm to work for you, building 50 million views every month like I do on my social media, and monetizing. I created a practical, hands-on, in-person immersion. On August 16th, I'll do this, locked here in the studio with you and my team, where we will direct your authority with a killer method. The same one that brought me into your home with serious, heavy subject matter. QR code on the screen, link in the description and in the pinned comment. I'm ruthless with the numbers and you know it. There are only 5 spots left, so hurry up. When the last one is taken, the steel door closes, and then, my friends, I don't know when we'll have another chance. So, I'll be waiting for you here, face to face with me, and I have 2 hard-hitting films about the war in the Middle East. Check out our channel for series and movie recommendations with a curated selection, no woke culture, no whining. Just look at the title, find it in the Instagram catalog, and enjoy it with your family. Go check it out. Link in the description, in the pinned comment, and in the card that appears on your screen. And you can also get this content in advance by becoming an exclusive member of our elite community. The link is also in the description. Now subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and like the video, because it takes a lot of work to make. Blend your mind. I'm Shimon Oliveira, and I'll see you in the next video. See you then.